Given all that he was facing, Lessine needed the judge to help the jury to understand his case. But while she told him that, yes, he said he didn't do it, he was saying a lot more than that.
The appellant's cardinal line of defence was, I knew nothing about the shooting and the deceased committed suicide. And the jury were repeatedly reminded of that during the summing up. And
But that's the difference between an assertion I didn't do it and an assertion I couldn't do it, couldn't have done it. The latter is potentially more powerful.
Lessine Edwards was arguing that his trial was unfair, and the government of Jamaica seemed to be struggling to respond to it because the examples were so clear-cut. If you told the jury about gunshot residue, the same thing applies to two people, and you tell the jury about it for one person, why don't you tell the jury about it for the other person?
this was, to use the expression was used yesterday, it's a narrative style summing up. What the judge certainly cannot be criticised for doing is not going through all of the evidence in nearly minute detail. And the judge, in so doing, goes through Miss Dunbar's evidence as to the absence of GSR found both on the appellant and the deceased. And so the jury would have been reminded of that, and then would have been reminded of Miss Dunbar's evidence that she gave.
I think the main criticism of the summing up is that although it was a narrative summing up, it wasn't entirely narrative. And all the circumstances pointed out to the jury from which they could draw an inference were circumstances favourable to the prosecution. And I would be interested to hear what your answer is to Lord Hodges' point that when invited to point out some circumstances which favoured the defence, the judge declined to do so.
Well, perhaps let's deal with that.
We'll deal with that when you come to it, perhaps. We better not take you out of order, but if you can mark that as something that I will be returning to.
My lord, yes.